Exiled Empire. To the Most High of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Hallelujah. I will wholeheartedly give thanks to Yahweh in the council of the upright and in the assembly. You have been our King. You have been our Redeemer. You have been our Savior. You have been our strength. And you have been our support in the time of trouble. We thank you, Most High El. And we worship you, Most High El. And we gather in this house because you have given us a commandment to assemble on this day that's called the Shabbat. We worship you and we honor you. You have healed us of our diseases. You have comforted us when we needed to be comforted. And we thank you today because you are you. I ask you, Ruach HaKodesh, Holy Spirit, to come into this assembly today and abide and tabernacle with us. Let your Ruach, your Spirit, fall upon everyone who has something to contribute to this day. We give you praise and we give you thanks. Amen.
Come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. Come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. You don't have to live in sin. He will meet you where you are. You don't have to hurt no more. He will take your pain away. So come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. Come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. Here we go. You don't have to cry no more. Hey, he will heal your broken heart. Hey, you don't have to be alone. He will be that friend you need. So come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. Come to the Father with open arms, he's waiting. Come to the Father. Come on, you don't have to cry no more. He will heal your broken heart. Hey, yeah. You don't have to strength you need. Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, 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 yeah. Come to the Father, yeah. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Oh, come on, Shabbat, Shalom. This is the day Yahweh has made. We shall rejoice and be glad in it. I want to say to all of you who have joined us here in the tabernacle, this is the day that we meet for a holy convocation. It has been ordered and ordained by our El that we meet on this day. And I am glad to see all of you. And for those who are watching by social media, YouTube, any other way we are out there, I say to you, Shalom. When I wake, when I sleep, when I take a breath to speak, I'm not afraid. I have no fear. When you call my name, it draws me near. It's good to know wherever I go, you are there. When I wake, when I sleep, when I take that breath, a breath to speak, I'm not afraid. I have no fear. When you call my name, it draws me near. It's good to know wherever I go, you are there. Hey, you are there. There is joy in loving you. You give peace and liberty. There's no other one I adore. You are all into me. You guide my footsteps. I exalt and I praise your name. You are Abba to me. in the evening, through my day. I will lift my voice and say, I will worship, I will praise. Yahweh, teach me in all your ways. It's good to know wherever I go, you are there. Yeah, you are there. Come on, there is joy in knowing. There is joy in loving you. You give peace and liberty. There's no other one I adore. You are everything to me. You guide my every footstep. When I fall, you carry me. I exalt and I praise your name. You are Abba to me. You are Abba to me. You are Abba to me. Here we go. You are there. 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 Yeah. You are there. You are there. You are there. You are there. Hey, hey, hey. I hear somebody out there. Here we go. You are there. You are there. You are there. You are there. Yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, hey, yeah. Hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Come on, yeah. You are there when I wake. You are there when I sleep. Hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. You are there in the evening, in the morning. You are there. Hey, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. You are, you are, you are, you are. Hey. I love you, Yahweh. Yeah. I love you, Yah. I love you, Yah. I love you, Yah. I love you, Yahweh. Yahweh, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Yeah. Yahweh, we love you. Yahweh, we adore you. You are there. Hey. Yahweh, we love you. We adore you. And we give you our praise. We give you our worship. Yeah. 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 You are the head. Yeah. Yeah. I say to you, shalom. Gather in this house today, and it's an opportunity for us to worship our El and to receive the various teachings that reside in Scripture and then also in other writings. You may wonder why it is that we refer to ourselves as Yahweh's exiled empires, because the nation of Israel, from the Father's perspective, is in exile. We realize that the Scriptures refer to us as the children of Israel, but we're a nation. And we are a resilient nation. Israel had prophets that spoke to her on behalf of the Most High. And we refer to ourselves as the teachers and the various leadership here as ambassadors to this wonderful, resilient nation. Since we've been in this exile, the nations that have not liked the Most High El and his people have tried everything that they could do to annihilate and remove us from the face of the earth. But I take a line from Maya Angelou that says, "And yet we stand." People don't realize that Hebrew Israel is great. Their king is great. Our Creator is great. They don't realize that the majority of everything that we have is related to Hebrew Israel, people of melanation. When we think about creation and we think about all the things that the Most High has created, He is our Father. The melanated man was the first man that was created, and into that melanated man the Most High gave His DNA, the ability to create. The system that you're watching this stream on today comes to you through a methodology that is part of the mindset and the creation of melanated man.
The cell phone that you hold in your hand is the creation of melanated men and people that are associated with this opulent nation that's called Hebrew Israel. Oh, I could go on and on and on and name the things that Hebrew Israel has created to civilization. It was a melanated man, a plumber who devised by the wisdom of the Most High the methodology of heart transplants. It was through the wisdom to a melanated woman to create your ability to get from one place to another place. It's called GPS. You just don't know who you are, and you don't know how great of a people we are. With that, I'm going to bring to you our teacher and ambassador, Sean Appleton, for today, who's going to take you into some place that you've never been, but I'm sure that you're going to enjoy and get knowledge from what is presented today. Ambassador Appleton.
All right. Wow, I'm all smiles. You know why I'm all smiles? Because I'm here again with all of you on this Shabbat. That means the Most High has allowed us to transverse through the week and have us convocate together to fulfill a mitzvot. As you sit here today, you fulfill it. That portion of the text that says you to congregate on the Shabbat and honor it and keep it set apart and to rest on it. So to the all-existent one, the beneficent, the El of Els, the Most High, Eye Asher Eye, I humbly thank you for allowing me and your people to be here today. Let me adjust this real quick. I acknowledge our head ambassador, the Bishop Reverend Episcopalian Deuterocanonical Hermeneutical Robert B. Holman Jr. for allowing me to share this platform with him. And I actually have to ask, I'm buttering him up right now because I want to actually ask for more time. We trade off week to week. And I'm going to need some, he just walked out. He said, okay, go ahead, do what you got to do. Go ahead, be up there for a couple of weeks. So, all right, okay, we're going to move in that direction then. To Ambassador Kevin R. Holman, who has taken us before the throne today in praise and worship. Well, our outward expression. As we talked about who last week, we talked about, or last time I spoke, we talked about King David. That means that when Shaul, Melech Shaul, had a problem with his attitude and his countenance, who did they bring in? They brought in David to do what? Play music. It soothed him. Music has the ability to go out into the atmosphere as it's vibrational and change the frequency of what's going on inside you. That's the power that the Most High has allowed us to understand. And why are frequencies so relevant? Is because the Most High did what in the beginning? He hovered over the waters and spoke. Speech is vibrational energy moving. Okay? So, to Kevin R. Holman, Shabbat Shalom. To all of you joining us by way of the stream, for those of you in the super chat right now, we see you. I think Ombre is in there. Trey, who is that? Kenya is in there. Some of the people that continue to join us every single week. I say Shabbat Shalom to you. I think they go all the way over to Georgia. I think some of our people listen to us over in Kisi, Africa, I believe, and out in the Middle East, I believe so. So Shabbat Shalom to all of you that are joining us by way of the stream. To all of you wrongdoers, for those of you that oppose the Most High's will and word, Shabbat Shalom to you today. Because the mitzvot says, what are we supposed to do when we go and address people that are opposed to us, or we want to do something? It's in Deuteronomy 20. You're supposed to offer them what first? Peace. So Shabbat Shalom to you today. To our descendants, those that will listen to these messages and teachings, I say Shabbat Shalom to you. Know that we in this generation and dispensation of time are trying to do our best. You will probably have more information than we will, but we want to be the catalyst for you moving forward. We know by the things that we do here today, set up your success for tomorrow and in the future. So there was a famous jazz saying that says, I could see further when I stood on the shoulders of giants. So Shabbat Shalom to you, and I hope you see further. I'm pretty excited today because we are getting ready to start something new. We are getting ready to embark on a study of the book of Judith. Now, I didn't want to wet your whistle too much last time I spoke because we got right into Melech David and we got to see Yeshai behind the camera. We seen Yeshai, his father, go to somewhat of a banquet where the elders are called in and all the sons are consecrated and they're brought forth, and David is still out in the field, and he comes in. And then we go into that dissertation about how the Spirit of the Most High had left Melech Shaul, and now they bring in, maybe by coincidence, no, David into the court, which I'm saying is a masterful plan of a move on the Most High's part as I see it, because the fact of the matter is that now Melech David, or soon to be Melech David, sees how an administration is being ran. That's something that Shaul did not have. He's the first king of the empire of Israel. He doesn't have a roadmap. So why don't we get David in there early? And what I'm going to do to help him get in there early is equip him with this ability so he can play. He was the coldest musician in Israel. So they called upon him and said, you need to go and play for the king to soothe him. That's a master chess move. Moving pieces in order to get people ready. Okay? So, what we have here is we ended off there. I'm going to do this study on the book of Yehudit. That's how you say that in Hebrew. Yehudit. Yehudit is, or let me say this, is the female equivalent of what sounds familiar when I say Yehudit? Yehuda. Just like you would say here in English, in the westernized world, Patrick, the female equivalent would be Patricia. Okay? Yehudit is the female version of Yehuda. Okay? We're going to jump into this study. I'm going to finish this study, and then we're going to jump back into Melech David. Okay? Just so you know, we have a roadmap on where we're going in the future. All right? Let's talk about, as a matter of fact, I always like to do this. It is my honor and privilege to introduce to you Hebraically. I did that over there. I got to do this over here to y'all. Hebraically, the apocryphal book and your ancestor Yehudit. Okay? I mentioned a word there, apocrypha. I am not going to assume that you know what the apocrypha is. I'm going to make an extreme analogy so you can understand what the apocrypha is. Okay? We all know, let me start here. We all know that there was what? The Council of Nicaea. And what did they do there? Yeah. They've, over time, built up this book we call what? The Bible. The Bible. Okay? The Biblica, I heard in the back. Now, that is made by whom? Who produced that? And they are Christians. Okay? The Christians produced it. So the Christians have what? An agenda. What is the agenda of the Biblica? No. Somebody said do away with Torah. No, not entirely. Huh? To present their God. That's right. So, the agenda behind the Bible is to present Jesus Christ. So now you have to understand why what they call the Old Testament books are picked to prove Jesus Christ. Let me give you an example, okay? But before I go into my example, I'm going to give you a little precursor. What they did at the Council of Nicaea. Let's take all of the reference books that are made available to us. And then we're going to see what the centralized theme of what all this is. And it's Eye Asher Eye. Good. Now that we've got all the books that deal with Eye Asher Eye, let's deal with all of the books that would present our God the way we want to have him presented. So that means book like Judith, Tobit, Esdras, Maccabees, the Jubilees, all get excluded because they do not talk about Christ. So what we're left with is what? Bereshit, Exodus, right? Shemot, all of the books of the Old Testament. Now, some of you might be saying to yourself, now wait a minute, brother, are you making a statement to say that the Masoretic text is used to point to Christ? From a Christian standpoint, I'm saying that's exactly what I'm saying. Every single Sunday when you go across the street, when they go to worship their supervisor. Oh, man, y'all didn't get that. When they go to worship their supervisor. See, because we know as Ibir that we have a relationship with whom? The Most High. Eye Asher Eye. We don't have to have an intermediary in between us like you're at work. When something comes from the top down, we get it. There's no, oh, okay, it came from the top, and then I got to go through my supervisor to see what he going to do. And maybe he going to be lazy one day and not do it and not tell me everything that what comes down from the top. Okay? So when they go across their street, every single week, they use what? Their text, which is the New Testament, to prove the validity of their God. And they have to do it through the Hebraic writings. Why? Have you ever thought in your mind, why is Bereshit all the way to Chronicles included in the Biblica? Why those specific books? No. They can, and they have. They use it as their foundation, which is good. Let me take it a little step further. Because these are the books to them, which I had mentioned earlier, that prove their God. Let me prove it to you, okay? We have to establish the beginning, so we have to include Bereshit. We have to have this established man, so we have to have that. Sister Harless, let's go to Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Actually, we're going to go to 16 and have that up there. Let's go back to this thought. Okay? So, what do we have? We have a scenario where we have books of the Bible. We have to prove Christ. So Christ, number one, is saying what? I'm a what? A Yehudim. I'm from the tribe of Yehuda, right? It says it in Matthew 16. How do we prove that he's from the tribe of Yehuda? We have to trace his lineage. What are the books in the Masoretic text that tell you the lineage of the people that he comes from? Supposedly. You don't have the book of Ruth. You don't have these other books because Ruth has to get with Boaz. Boaz and Ruth are the great grandparents of Melech David. Melech David trickles down, and that's how they prove their lineage through Christ. It's through Melech David. All the books that are included in the Masoretic text that are in the Biblica are there for their persona, to prove their God. Especially when their God, now you have to include the Torah. Because when we get over into Matthew, 5 and 17, it says what? I didn't do what? I didn't come to abolish anything. I come to fulfill it. All right? And all these types of things. And those that will be least and great in the kingdom, that teach against the mitzvot. And then he goes ahead and says what? Do not murder. Do not steal. Where does that come from? Anytime you're reading the Stern version, those big bold letters are there telling you you have to go back somewhere to get what he's referencing. That's why those books are included. But see, I would say this, since we don't think like that anymore, they can make their own biblical the way they want to. The Apocrypha, getting back to square one, would be all the books that take care of talking about Eye Asher Eye. Our Apocrypha that is Hebraic won't include some of the Christian Apocrypha that they've even excluded that talks about foreign gods. Yehudit is one of those books that talks about Eye Asher Eye and has nothing to do with Christ. That is why she is not included in the Masoretic text in the Biblica. You can't take anything out of this book and prove Christ. Zero. That's why we won't include it. Because we're just not going to put these extraneous books in here that don't give us any validity to prove our God to you. And we got to team him up with Yahweh, because if we team him up saying that he just was a carpenter that walked off the street somewhere, nobody's going to believe that. So let's pump him up a little bit. All right, let's talk about the book of Yehudit. I got to set some groundwork. So you got an understanding of what the Apocryphal books are. I would suggest, if you're going to jump into the Apocryphal books, you're going to be like the books like Tobit, Judith, Esdras, Maccabees, Jubilees, all these books, that you be really rooted and grounded in Torah before moving forward. Be rooted and grounded in the mitzvot. You need to have a strong understanding of it. That's why we're going to go through this book corporately, okay? So we can walk through some of the things and you can see some of the mitzvot and things that are there, all right? So that's the first thing I want to say about the Apocrypha. The book that we're going to talk about today, obviously, is Yehudit. Yehudit, out of the writings, since she is a woman, the writings of the Masoretics, she has the most chapters dedicated to her. In the Masoretic text, how many, did anybody know for extra credit, how many books are in the book of Esther? There's Esther. Talking about all the women that are in the Masoretic text that have books dedicated to them. There's, I should say, what did I say, books? I mean chapters. Excuse me, chapters in the book of Esther. 10. There's 10. In the book of Ruth, how many chapters are dedicated to Ruth? 4. This woman has 16 dedicated to her. And how it's broken up, just so you know how we're going to travel. At 100,000 feet, we'll be cruising at an altitude, cruising at a speed of X amount of miles per hour. This is how Yehudit is set up. It's set up in 2 pieces, which is the prologue to this phenomenal woman coming in and saving her people. So the first 7 chapters of Yehudit are going to set up the conflict. Once we get through the conflict, we'll see Yehudit arise in chapter number 8 all the way through her success in chapter number 16. If you enjoyed, again, the dissertation on Shemuel and how Shemuel was a calculative man, he was not a big dumb baby Huey. He was very strategic. You are going to love one of his contemporaries, which is Judith. Judith is a woman that uses her charm, her feminism, her knowledge of the mitzvot, her cunning, craftiness, in order to defeat an entire army without them laying a finger on her or she touching them. Just by the way she moved, do you ladies understand what I just got done telling you? I'm going to give it away a little bit. There's an army that's going to assemble that's at least 120,000 men, chariots, foot soldiers, plus archers. She defeats this army, disbands them, makes them go home, run back like a dog with a leg between their tails, or the other way around, a tail between their legs. You're listening. I put that in there. I wanted to see if you were awake. She does all this by a glance and a look and a nod and a sachet. She does all this while staying Torah compliant. And we're going to see that, okay? Give you a little nerdy backstory, okay? So if I see everybody out there with a lack of mask doing this type thing, I get it. This is going to be a little nerdy. But this is being recorded and this is being put on social media, and I will probably have naysayers that are going to come in if I don't address this issue, okay? The Jewish community does not recognize this book as being anything inspired. They recognize this book as something being of a romantic parable, fiction, something that someone wrote to make allegories about the way the empire of Israel was actually behaving at that particular time. And it's a story of redemption, okay? They say the main reason why they don't look at it or give it any respect or credence is because of the first sentence in the first chapter that talks about King Nebuchadnezzar. It says Nebuchadnezzar at that particular time reigned in Nineveh. And when you get down to verse 7, which we'll get to today, you'll see where it says Nebuchadnezzar is the king of Assyria. Why is that a problem? He's the king of Babylon. Now, I don't prescribe to what the Jewish community is saying about this, because you got to also look at what the name Nebuchadnezzar means, and also during the time that this is actually happening. Now, scholars will say that this book was written at 100 BC, which, okay, I'm saying no. I'm saying it was written way before that. Sometime in the 7th century is when this was probably composed, or definitely when this was particularly happening. I'm going to tell you why. So Nebuchadnezzar is associated with Babylon, and we have our prophets that were associated with the Babylonian time that Nebuchadnezzar was in power. So let me talk about that for 1 second. There is, in dispensations of who was in power, you have the Assyrians that were in power. They date all the way back to 2035, and their reign goes all the way down to 609. Then you have the Babylonians that come in. After the Babylonians, you have the Persians that come in. After the Persians come in, you see about the Persians when you talk about Darius in the book of Ezra, okay? Saying he was the king of Medes. We're going to talk about that. You're going to hear about that today. Then after the Persians, believe you have maybe another Neo-Babylonian, and then at least out of that, you're going to go right into our two main characters that we talk about all the time. You go into the G people, the Greeks, And then that takes you all the way through the Romans, where you're most familiar. Why are you most familiar with the Romans? Not gave you a book, and that's the time that Christ is walking around. Because what do? They say, this man has blasphemed against our mitzvot. He's saying that he's God. By our mitzvot, he should die. Let's take him to Pilate. Pilate is going to give a ruling because we can't execute him, but you can. That's Roman Empire. Okay? So that's the dispensations of time that are happening here. This is happening during the time, and I'm saying this. By my data and research, what I'm trying to put together here for you guys is I'm looking at the dispensations of time upon which your ancestors that were prophets prophesied. Listen to this. The Assyrian prophecy period included Jonah. Now, the Assyrian main city at that time was a city called, you're familiar with it. This boy got gobbled up by a fish, and he got spit out at a place called Nineveh. Nineveh is the capital. It would be the Los Angeles of California. Or it would be the Los Angeles. I said that wrong again. Let's see if you guys were still awake. That would be the Los Angeles of the Assyrian Empire. Okay? So, Yehoiah is prophesying from 790 to 770. Yoel is from 790 to 770. Amos is from 780 to 740. Hosea is from 760 to 720. Yeshayahu is from 745 to 695. Micah is from 740 to 700. See, we're walking down. We're getting closer and closer to how we do this stupid way of counting years. Because every time you say 2023, you're acknowledging Christ. Right? Because it's 2023 years since he was here. Okay? So at any rate, Micah, 740 to 700. Zephaniah is from 639 to 608. And Nahum is from 630 to 610. That would have been at the end of the Assyrian reign. Nineveh doesn't get sacked until 612. So we've got this period where Nahum is ministering and is being a prophet. Then we go into the area of the Babylonians, which starts with Jeremiah in 626. So if you look at it, 626 is the higher number we're counting down, okay? 626, all right, is when Jeremiah starts. And then you also have 630 over here when Nahum is doing his deal doing with the Assyrians. So Nahum was talking about the Assyrians, and Jeremiah was talking about the Babylonians. There's a period of years of lap that are overlapping there. And this is why I want to try to establish this so I can debunk this issue that says that you could throw this out, because when they say Nebuchadnezzar is the king of the Assyrians, we should throw this book out now because it's not historically accurate, because Nebuchadnezzar is the king of Babylon. Let me get you squared away on Nebuchadnezzar real quick. If you look up the word Nebuchadnezzar, it means Nebo is protect the crown. That's what it means. Nebo, protect the crown. Now give me an example that's in the Masoretic text, in the Brit Hadashah. No, excuse me, not the Brit Hadashah, but in the Torah. Excuse me. Woo, I'm moving. Too fast. Slow down. Melech Sedek. What does Melech Sedek mean? The righteous king. Do you think that that's what his name was? No. It is a title. Just like when we say Yahweh Sabaoth or Yahweh Hasaphet, that is a title. Yahweh, the judge. Okay? We're talking about Melech Sedek. It is a title for him. Nebuchadnezzar is a title. There have been many Nebuchadnezzars. The Nebuchadnezzar that you're talking about over there in Jonah, or excuse me, when you get over to Jeremiah, that Nebuchadnezzar is Nebuchadnezzar II. All right? There's a Nebuchadnezzar that goes all the way back to 1121. His reign was from 1121 to 1100. Come on, Most High, with all these numbers. So, what we're trying to establish here is that just because, let me give you an example to wrap this up, because I need to start moving. It would be like Gavin Newsom saying, and everybody know who Gavin Newsom is? I hope you know who Gavin Newsom is. It would be like Gavin Newsom saying, we as California are getting ready to wage war on Nevada. And we take Nevada. We defeat them. We conquer them. And someone writes, Gavin Newsom, the governor of Las Vegas. And then somebody else comes behind him and says, no, Gavin Newsom's the governor of California. You get it now where I'm saying, okay, you have this period where, yes, we conquered it, and he is now the governor of that particular state because we took it. But he is governor of both, of that whole entire piece. So what I'm saying here is I'm trying to prove to you that this lap in time from the Assyrian period to the Babylonian period, you have an individual called Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar is getting ready to take over. All right? So they can call him the king of Assyria because he's getting ready to annihilate them, or has already. Okay? You get it? So it's a way to try to establish a precedent that says, okay, that we can't throw this book out because someone says that Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Assyria when he really was the king of Babylon. Okay? It's a technical piece that I have to address. Now that the technical part is over with. Oh boy. Okay. Now that we have established the time period of when all this is happening, and I kind of gave you a brief overview, do you want to find out about your ancestor? Let's get right into your ancestor. Yehudit. All right? Let's put Yehudit. Matter of fact, I was getting ready to give myself an insurmountable task. I was going to say today that we were going to go through chapters 1 through 7. We were going to read it all. But I don't think that's going to happen. Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. But what I had said earlier is that the king of the Assyrian army wages war on the empire of Israel in 1 through 7. And you'll see that. It's a developing thing that happens. And in chapter 8, you get the introduction of Yehudit and her plan to save the empire of Israel. I want to give you guys also one more thing about Yehudit. There is nothing of like an anointing, if you will, on her, if I can use that word, for lack of eloquence. You know how all the people in the text, Moshe, he had this immaculate upbringing and he's been anointed by the Most High, and Aharon, all of our patriarchs have something where they've kind of been set apart. You know, Melech David, all these people, right? Your main players are people that are who? That are prominent. The Kohen Gadol. All right? These are people that have been called out by the Most High. Yehudit is an ordinary woman. There's nothing that, okay, she got the influence of the Most High one day and it came down on the spirit of him like Shimshon did. He had the power of the Most High on him. It wasn't like that. This is a woman, a simple woman, who has a heart for the mitzvot. So I just want to make that distinction as we move forward. Let's get into Yehudit. And we're going to move. Move. I like to move it. Woo, that's small. Yeah, we need to blow that up just a tad bit. And I apologize. This is going to be an ordeal today, Sister Harless. But if you can't follow along, let's see if we can blow that up a little bit bigger. There we go. Let's stretch that out. Yeah, okay. If you can't see it, just listen in intently. Matter of fact, before we got there, how many people had the opportunity to actually go through Yehudit? You got a chance to listen to it? At least it's on. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it and you want to finish what we don't, at least finish what where we left off today, you can go ahead. It's on YouTube. You can go listen to it. It's audio. You can hear it right through start to finish, okay? So I have put this up on the screen because I have modified it. And I wanted to go do it this way because when you look at the written version of this, it speaks in this Macbethian language. And I wanted to use actual words that we use today. Thou dwellest in those halls of lords and Lutheran, Othello and Shakespearean. All that, I took out and replaced it with words that we use, okay? Dressing in tights and wearing skirts, walking around on the okay, anyway. on a stage, thus holding skulls. Let's go. All right. I think what's happening here is she's trying to move that to another screen, so I'm just going to move forward. Listen intently. In the 12th year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, remember that, the 12th year, because you're going to see a dispensation of time happen between chapters number 1 and 7 of about somewhere in about 5 to 6 years. All this is getting ready to happen. In the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, who reigned in Nineveh, the great city, in the days of Arphaxad, which reigned over the Medes in Exbantane. Medes is a Persian area. Okay? Exbantane is the area that the Persians populated. Medes is one big area of that place. And built in Ecbatane walls roundabout of stone 3 cubits. I went ahead and did the conversion for you because you may not know what a cubit is in feet. The conversion for cubits to feet is 1 cubit is 1.5 feet. So take the number that's here in cubits, times it by or multiply it by 1.5. And that will get you your equivalent in feet. Okay? So when it says 3 cubits, I did the conversion for you, it's 4.5 feet broad, and 6 cubits, which is 9 feet long, and made height of walls of 70 cubits, which is 105 feet, with the breadth thereof 50 cubits, which is 75 feet, and set towers thereof upon gates of it, and 100 cubits, which is 150 feet high, and a breadth thereof of the foundation 80 cubits, which is 90 feet. What are we describing? We're describing this fortress that King Nebuchadnezzar made in Medes. And when he was in Medes, he made this fortress 100 feet tall. It had these towers that extended up about 150 feet. And now we're getting ready to describe in verse 4 what the gates look like. Again, this is a slow burn to the conflict that we established in chapters 1 through 7. Verse 4, and he made the gates thereof, even gates that were raised to the heights of 70 cubits, which is 105 feet, and the breadth of them, which was 40 cubits, which is 60 feet, for the going forth of his mighty armies, and for setting in array of his footmen. 5, even in those days Nebuchadnezzar made war with Arphaxad in the great plain, which is in the plain of the borders of Regah. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to come back to this. These are all the places I'm going, so if you wanted to, while I'm walking around here, you have this. This is the area we're getting ready to describe here. Arphaxad, that's where that's located. But I'm going to outline for you this whole entire area that we're talking about that Nebuchadnezzar is getting ready to go and address. It says in verse 5, it says, even in those days Nebuchadnezzar made war with the king of Arphaxad in the great plain, which is the plain of the borders of Ragu. And Ragu, I think Ragu is sitting somewhere close to this over here. Somewhere over there. And it came unto him all the day that he dwelled in the hill country, and that dwelled in the Euphrates and Tigris and Hydaspes, and the plain of Arioch, the king of Elamenes, and the very many nations of the sons of Cleold assembled themselves to battle. So what do we got in 5? So he's making war against the king Arphaxad in this great plain. And all of these other communities have joined in to fight Nebuchadnezzar. And then it says in 7, Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, sent this. Remember I said that. It doesn't say anywhere that he's the king of the Assyrians until we get down to verse 7, which is here. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Assyrians, sent unto all that dwelled in Persia. He sent word out. He's getting ready to make war with these guys. He sends war all the way out to Persia, which is all the way over here. Just so you know where you are. The Yarden is right here. East of the Yarden, west of the Yarden, east of the Yarden. All right? Now it says in 7, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Assyrians, sent unto all that dwelled in Persia, and to all that dwelled westward, and to all that dwelled in Cilicia and Damascus, and Libanas and Antibelanas, and to all that dwell in the seacoast, and to all the nations that were of Camel and Galad, and the higher Galilee, and the great plains of Esdraelon, and to all that were in Samaria of the cities thereof, and beyond the Jordan, or the Yarden, and Jerusalem, to the Betane, and Silas and Cadiz in the river of Egypt. Let's stop where this man is sending his word out. He's going away all the way out here. We're all the way down here in Egypt now. This is the area that he's sending this word out to. 9, and to all that were in Samaria and the cities thereof, and beyond the Jordan, to Jerusalem and Binte and Cleus and Cadiz and the river of Egypt, the Taphnes and the Ramses and the land of Gesin, until you come beyond the Tanis and Memphis. Memphis is down here in Egypt, right here. So go all the way down there. Where am I at? Okay, until you come beyond the Tanis and Memphis and the inhabitants of Egypt, until you come to the borders of Ethiopia. This is going to stretch all the way down here. Why am I drawing this up here, folks? I'm getting ready to show you this is the area which encapsulates where your ancestors are. Where their land is, this is all ours. He's sending his word out that he's going to tell them something very specific here. He says in 11, but to all the inhabitants of the land that made light of the commandment. The commandment you're going to find out is that all these people have to acknowledge and give him tribute, land and water, and acknowledge that he is God. Nebuchadnezzar is the everlasting, ever-existent, all-knowing, beginning to the end, master of the universe like He-Man, God of the heavens and the earth. That's the commandment. So he's saying, but to all the inhabitants of the land that made light of the commandment of Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, neither went they with him to battle, for they were not afraid of him. Yea, he was before them as one man, and they sent away his ambassadors from them without effect and disgrace. So he sent out his word to all of these areas, and there was a group of individuals, which includes your ancestors, that said, I want to say this so bad, when you go out there and you're marching around, and they said, hey, we gonna go, we gonna go. That is what they came and said to Nebuchadnezzar. No, we are not coming over there. We're not giving up our land to you. We're not bowing down to you. You're going to find out that they're just returning from an exile. Your people have just got back into the land after the Most High had kicked them out, and they're just now getting back. And then they get this word, you will serve me, Nebuchadnezzar. And they said, are you crazy? You know how long it took for us to get back? And now you want us to just go back out and just screw it up again? Okay, we just got here. Man, you bought a new house out in Granite Bay, and somebody's going, yeah, you got to leave. Huh? I ain't even put the furniture in yet. So, 12, therefore Nebuchadnezzar was very angry with all this country and swore by his throne and kingdom, he's making an oath, that he would surely be avenged upon the coast of Cilicia, Damascus, Syria, and that he would slay with the sword all the inhabitants of the land of Moab. Who are them folk? Yeah, the Moabites. Who was a famous Moabite? Come on back there. Ask for some help. He back there. Who was a famous Moabite? Abraham had a brother that was. Yeah, those are lots, folks. So you're kind of close to. These are other Hebrews. That's what I'm getting to, okay? And in the children of Ammon and all of where? In Judea. That's you, your ancestors specifically. So it says that we were part of that group that said, And all that were in Egypt until they come to the borders of the two seas. And he marched in battle array with his power against King Apakshad in the 17th year. He says, what did it start out with? In verse number 1, it says, in the 12th year of his reign, he did this, and then in the 17th year of his reign, okay, now we see these 5 years show up. He marches on Apakshad. was that guy that was occupying that area that's circled there, the smaller one, to try to take it, but he had sent out his word to say, hey, you follow the commandments that I give you. And everybody was saying, 14, in the 17th year, and he prevailed in battle, for overthrew all the power of Apakshad. There we go, backing up what I was saying. If he's the king of the Babylonians, you just see him make a major conquest in the land of the Assyrians. Okay? So what is he now? Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians. And also the king of the Babylonians. Until the Babylonians become so predominant that it just becomes all of Babylon. All right? He comes with horsemen and all his chariots. 14. And became God of his cities. So he's now God of his cities now. Nebuchadnezzar is. And he came to Ecbatane and took the towers and spoiled the streets thereof and turned the beauty thereof into shame. And, he took also Apakshad in the mountains of Regal and smote him through with his darts and destroyed him utterly that day. So he returned afterwards to Nineveh, both he and all of his company and sundries of nations, being a great multitude of men of war. And there he took his ease and banqueted, both he and his army, 120 days. Chapter number 2. And in the 18th year, so this is a year later. So we got 6 years since the dispensation of when this book actually starts and opens up. In the 22nd day of the first month. Wow, sound like somebody Hebrew writing this. That's how we talk, huh? Okay, but you need to stay away from these books because we don't need to draw you back to your roots. Okay? No. In the 22nd day of the first month, there was talk in the house of Nebuchadnezzar. Okay. The king of the Assyrians, that he should, as he said, avenge himself of all the earth. You got these defiant folk out here that don't want to acknowledge you, sir. You should take out your vengeance on these people. Verse 2, so he called unto himself all his officers and all the nobles and communicated with them his secret counsel and concluded that afflicting of the whole earth out of his own mouth. Then the decree to destroy all flesh that did not obey the commandment of his mouth. And when he had ended his counsel, Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, called Holofernes. You got to remember this guy. Holofernes. He is a major player in the whole entire story of Judith. If there was going to be a Batman, there would be a Catwoman, right? This would be this. Okay, but it's the other way around. All right, where the good Catwoman, she's okay. I think she's neutral. But the heroine here is Judith, and the protagonist here is Holofernes. You're going to see him all the way through to 16. All right, let's keep going. Now, let's go back to 2. So he called unto all of his officers, nobles, and communicated with them all of his secret counsel and concluded by afflicting the whole earth. I did that already. Let's go back. Let's skip down to 4. And then when he had ended his counsel, Nebuchadnezzar, king of the Assyrians, called Holofernes, the chief captain of his army. So you understand who he is. He is the general, okay, in charge of all the army of the Assyrians. And said to him, which was next to him, and said to him, 5, listen to what he is going to say. This is Nebuchadnezzar talking to Holofernes, his captain of his army. And he says, thus saith the great king, because I speak in the third person, the God of the whole earth, the self-proclaimed God of the whole earth. Behold, you shall go forth from my presence. Oh, man. And take with you men that you trust in their own strength, of footmen of 120,000, and the number of horses with their riders will be 12,000. And you shall go against all the west country, because they disobeyed my commandment. And you shall declare unto that they prepare for me earth and water, tribute, for I will go forth in my wrath. Wow, this dude got an Elohim complex. I will go forth in my wrath against them, and I will cover the whole face of the earth with my feet of mine army, and I will give them for spoil unto them, so so their slain may fill the valleys, and brooks and rivers shall be filled with their dead till it overflows. Listen, this is how they talk. Y'all on TikTok and Twitch, and y'all, what are them other things that y'all talk to online, multiplayer games when y'all be playing them? I know they know in the back over there. What is it, Fortnite? They be talking trash. This dude is talking trash. I'm going to send all my people out to trample you. This is what is going to beset you because you have disobeyed my commandment. It says, I'm going to slay them. And 8, fill the valleys and brooks and rivers shall be filled with their dead till the overflows. 9, and I will lead them captives to the utmost parts of the earth. I wonder where leading somebody captive actually shows up. Maybe in your Masoretic text, out of the mouth of the goat, Moshe, and you will be led captive. Okay, all right. Y'all guess y'all didn't read the mitzvahs. Folks. Let me keep going. 10, therefore. Okay, I want you to see a precedent I'm getting ready to set now. These mitzvahs are going to start getting ready to start coming out. Just like we're going through Shemuel and the rest of these books that we got through in the Masoretic text that we have in the Bible. This reads the same way. But do you see anywhere right now, Christ? You see anywhere? So let's do anything more. Let's move on. Excuse me. 10, therefore, shall go forth and take beforehand for me all their coasts. And if they will yield themselves unto you, you shall reserve them for me till the day of their punishment. So even if you do take them prisoner, we're going to kill them anyway. But concerning them that rebelled, let not your eye spare them. Put them to the slaughter and spoil them wheresoever you go. For as I live, man, he's got an Elohim complex, and the power of my kingdom, whatsoever I've spoken, and that will I do by my hand, and take heed that you transgress none of these commandments of your God, me, Nebuchadnezzar, but accomplish, fulfill them as I have commanded you, and defer not to do them. Does everybody understand what he charged his general to do? Go out through the land, slaughter everybody that decided that they didn't want to roll with us, and those that are coming to you begging, saying, okay, now we've had an epiphany, and we do now want to be a part of your group, reserve them, because we're going to take them out too. They'll just wait for their judgment. It's just going to be delayed. That's my mercy that I'm showing on them. Okay? Now, 14. Then Holofernes went forth from the presence of his God. Look at that. He left the presence of his God, Nebuchadnezzar, and called all the governors and captains and officers of the armies of Ashur. There is a prophet that will support the fact that it was during the time of the Assyrians. The prophet that your teacher, if you listen to the podcast, did something on. There's a prophet during the time of the Assyrians. His name is Yeshayahu. And in Yeshayahu, he says something very prolific. He's prophesying about what's going to happen to the empire of Israel, and it's going to happen through the hand of the Assyrians. Let's go to it. Let's go to Yeshayahu chapter number 10, verse 5 through 7. Where it says, O Asher, that's the Assyrians. That's how you get the word Assyrian, because that's where it comes from. Asher. So we're talking about the Assyrians right now. He says, oh, Asher, or Assyrians, the rod expressing my anger, the club in their hands in my fury. I am sending him against a hypocritical nation, ordering him to march against a people who enrage me. Who is he talking about? He's saying, I'm going to send the Assyrians to go against my people who have enraged me. What is getting ready to happen in Judith? The Assyrians are at their doorstep, getting ready to take them. The prophet is prophesying about this before it even happens. Okay? This is one of the proofs. I am sending him as against a hypocritical nation, ordering him to march against the people who enrage me, to take the spoil and plunder and trample them down like mud in the street. That is not what Asher intends. Is Nebuchadnezzar's intention to do this? He's thinking he's acting on his own volition when he's doing this. The Most High is doing this to kind of, what? If you love me, you will keep my commandments. How do I know that you love me? I have to test you. Okay? I got to test you. So, he says, 7, that is not what Asher intends. So the Assyrians don't intend to do what they think they're doing, but I'm provoking them to do something else underneath the cover of darkness that they don't even know about. Just remember this pyro thing that we talked about where it says Moshe went ahead and talked to the Most High, and the Most High said to him, I'm going to influence Paro to say they are not leaving. So you already know the answer when I'm going over there. But Paro is acting upon his own volition. He thinks he's answering amongst himself, but it's not. It's the Most High using him as a puppet. Okay, so think of this here. The Assyrians are being used to test the Most High's people, whether they love him. Okay, we get it? That is not what they think. Rather, they mean to destroy, to cut down a nation after nation. All right, let's jump back over into chapter number 2. And he mustered, I'm at verse 15, and he mustered the chosen men for battle, and his God commanded him unto 120,000 and 12,000 archers on horseback, and he ranged them as a great army is ordered for war. And he took the camels and asses for their carriages, and a very great number, and sheep and oxen and goats without number for their provisions. So this army is well provided for. They have the rations that they need. And plenty of victuals, which is mentioned there, for every man of the army, and very much gold and silver out of the king's house. In case they needed to stop at a 7-Eleven on the way there, since somebody got the munchies. 19, then he went forth and all his people to go before Nebuchadnezzar in the voyage, and to cover all the face of the earth westward with the chariots and horsemen and chosen footmen, and a great number of sundries of countries came with them like locusts and like the sands of the earth, for the multitude was without number. So do you see the large group of people that's getting ready to show up at the doorstep of Jerusalem? Okay? A great number, I'm using Jerusalem as a pejorative term for Israel, okay? A great number of sundries of countries came with them like locusts, and like the sands of the earth, and the multitude was without number. 21, and they went forth to Nineveh 3 days' journey toward the plain of Bechleth, and pitched from Bechleth near the mountain, which is at the left hand of Upper Silica. I'm going back here, so you know where I'm going with all these. Then he took his army and his footmen and his horsemen and his chariots, and went from thence into the hill country, and destroyed food and lewd, and spoiled all the children of Rasis, the children of Israel. So the Israel that was in these outlying areas has got some emotional damage that happened to them just now. They had some casualties. Not all of Israel, but those that were living in these outskirt areas. So it says, which was towards the wilderness at the south of the land of the Chileans. Then he went over to Euphrates. That's down there over in the northeast coast of where Eretz Israel is. It says he went over to the Euphrates and through the Mesopotamian areas, and destroyed all the high cities that were there in Arbanai, until he came to the sea, and then took the borders of Cilicia. That's how I should say that, excuse me. And then killed the rest, and killed all that resisted him, and came to the borders of Japhet. Where have you heard that name from? Japhet, Shem, and Ham. So this is the area that Japhet occupied. He went up in there, which was toward the south, over against Arabia. He compassed also the children of Madian, and burned up their tabernacles, and spoiled their sheepcotes. Then he went down into the plain of Damascus, and in the time of the wheat harvest, and burned up all the fields, and destroyed their flocks and herds. I just saw something there. Also, he spoiled their cities and utterly wasted their countries and smote all of their young men with the edge of the sword. Therefore, the fear and dread of him fell upon all of the inhabitants of the seacoast. That's your ancestors, which were in Sidon, Tyrus, that dwelt in Sur. This is just the expanse of it, not just their ancestors, but all these seacoast individuals as well. Sur and Osina, and that dwelt in Jimnan, and they that dwelt in Azotus and Ascalon feared him greatly. Whew. Chapter 3. So they sent ambassadors unto treat of peace, saying, Behold, we are the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the great king, lie before you. Use us as shall be good this in thy sight. Behold, our horses and our places and our, let me go back. Behold, our houses, not our horses, and all of our places and all of our fields, our wheat, our flocks, our herds, and all the lodges of our tents lie before thy face. Use them as it pleases you. Behold, even our cities and the inhabitants thereof are your servants. Come and deal with them as it seems good unto you. So the men came to Holofernes and declared unto him after this manner. So these are the people that said, hey, we don't want to fight Holofernes. We don't want to fight Nebuchadnezzar. Do with us what you will, okay? So it says, 5. So the men came to Holofernes and declared unto him after this manner. Then he came down toward the seacoast, both he and his army and the garrisons in the high cities, and took out of them chosen men for aid. So they and all the country round about received them with garlands and dances and with timbrels. So as they are retreating and receding, they're welcoming Holofernes and his armies into their towns as good faith and goodwill. So they and all the country round about them received them with garlands and with dances and with timbrels. Yet he did cast down their frontiers and cut down their groves. So even though he came in there and he was welcome, he still cut down their agriculture that was there. Okay? For he had decreed to destroy all the gods of the land. So if it's not Nebuchadnezzar, it's getting destroyed. That all the nations should worship Nebuchadnezzar only. And that all the tongues and tribes should call upon him as God. Also, he came over against Esdraelon and near to Judea, where your ancestors are, y'all, over against the great strait of Judea. And he pitched his tent in Geba and Sycopolis. And there he tarried a whole month, that he might gather together all the carriages of his army. Now, 4 is going to outline for us the terrain upon which your ancestors are being protected, because they're back in their land now, and we have to describe now. We've gone through this issue of go through the land, tell everybody that, hey, I'm their God. If they don't want to play ball, kill them. All right? Now, we get to the point where now the army has gone out, people have already receded, and now we've gotten to the doorsteps of the land of Israel, Eretz Israel, okay? 4 is going to explain how it looked, where your ancestors were garrisoned, when I come back next week and talk to you about it. So, with that, it's a good stopping place in verse 4. Hopefully we got off on a good start. We're going to go through some more of these mitzvot. But until then, same bat time, same Ibir channel, I should say that. Yivareka Yahweh v'yishmareka, Yair, Yahweh panav eleka v'chuneka, Yisa, Yahweh panav eleka v'yasham, laka shalom. Which just simply means, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh shine his face on you and show you his favor. May Eye Asher Eye lift up his face towards you and give you Shalom until next time.